Hello guys, welcome back to another stream. So today, here we are with another project, and today we'll be doing again something different, but we'll be again doing it in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, today's code is about country info finder, right? So let's start the actual code. So first, I've already made index.html and CSS and JavaScript file. Now we'll just use it. So before, I'm just gonna do that, make a quick boilerplate and change the title to country info finder, just like that, and actually press the go live. And here, what I'm gonna do is put that here, and we should be good. Now let's actually start making our HTML file or, coding our HTML file. So here, what I'm going to do here is make a div saying container. This will basically store entire, thing. So here, what I'm going to do is also make another div with a class header. And inside this, I'm going to make a h1 tag saying country info finder, just like that. And it will basically be the actual title. I'm also going to include a this is a earth emoji, and also have a p tag saying discover information about any country in the world. So this will be like that. So that is right there. After this, I'm just gonna make another div that says search container. So this will basically be our container that you can use to search any, any country. So what I'm gonna do here, this will be a type text, and I'll just change a couple different things. That is, I'm not gonna have a name because it's kind of useless. I will have an ID that is for the JavaScript to just, call the DOM. And that's it. It will also have a class of search input, I guess, and also have a placeholder of enter a country name. We can probably put anything and be good, but I'll put it like that. There we go. And under this, what I'm going to do is also make another div with a class of suggestions. Now, here's the deal. We also have to also have a ID of suggestions. Now this will be the div that will basically pop up if there are any suggestions when searching any country. Let's say you're searching USA, they'll basically have USA pop up or USA drop down menu where it will suggest you USA or any other country, right? And this will be this div which we will be dynamically updating using JavaScript. So that's that. And after this is another div saying loading. I also have a ID of loading. This will basically be a loading div, like a loading animation div, which will basically show a spinner if the API is slow or when it's loading, We'll also make a paragraph tag searching for country information. There we go. Just like that. Now next is the error div. What I'm going to do is make a error class, but also error ID, and which will have an tree of country not found. So this will also include a search icon, just like that. Boom. We also have a p tag saying please check the spelling and try again. You can search by common name. I'm gonna put it like that. Boom. Common name or official name. I'm gonna do that. There we go. This will be our editor div. Now everything is like just static in the web page. We'll change it using CSS, so don't worry. Okay, so I want to make that very clear. So this is the actual country showing div. What I'm going to do here is make a div saying country card and also have an ID of country card. And inside this, I'm going to make a class saying flag container. This will basically have the, flag image. What I'm going to do is have image tag. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut everything here. Actually not everything. I still need the alt. I'll just say country flag. As you know, alt is a attribute that is shown whenever or wherever that written inside the alt is shown if the image source is not found or is conflicted. Here what I'm going to do is have a class of flag, also have an ID of, let's say, flag image. There we go. And we should be good. Now next is the country name. For that I'm going to use the h2, which we will again be updating using JavaScript, and this will have a class of country name with also ID of country name. Just like that. Boom. Now next is the grid. Since we will be using a card, we will have to place everything neatly inside the container. So for that, we'll be using the grid. So I'm gonna make a div so we can actually, separate the info inside the grid and not have anything conflicted outside this container. I'm gonna make a div which will have a class of info grid. This will basically be our grid. So here what I'm gonna do is make a class of info item. Just like inside this info item, there'll be a couple different things. Now, first of all is the image, which just I'm gonna basically just paste it like this. This will basically be an image logo or image icon. You can also use favicon if you want, but I'm too lazy to actually go to my API and just call the script tag. Okay. So I'm going to make a span, which will have a thing called capital. Now here's the deal. Our app will show three things. First one is capital, of which what is the capital of the country. Second is population, what is the actual population of the country. And the last is the region, on like what is the region, So here what I'm going to do here is have this location right here and have capital. So, and next is the actual capital. For that, I'm just going to use another span tag. Inside this, what I'm going to do is give a class of info label. So this is the label, right? Now next is this is the actual label which we'll be using to do DOM manipulation from JavaScript. This is basically a static text. Right, I'm just gonna do info value, just like that. And what I'm gonna do here is just copy this 3 times because we'll be using the same damn thing, except for a few things, and that is the change in the logo. What I'm gonna do here is just change this, just like that, and come here and paste that. So one, we have the location logo. Next, we have the population, kind of shows population image. And next is the actual region. So with that said, our HTML is finished. This is the, the thing that we need. Now, a few things we haven't done is to link our style.css and also our script.js. What I'm going to do here is outside this, I'm just going to type script src and link our script.js file. So now we'll style our CSS. So first what I'm going to do here is give the universal selector some values. So that is on that, let's call the universal selector. I'm going to give margin 0, padding 0, the same stuff. You have to do every time you make or you do code CSS, you have to type these things. If you want your optimal CSS layout. So that is that. You have given margin 0 and padding 0. What I'm going to do is call body here and give body some few things. The first one is font family. What I'm going to do here is call enter and also Apple system logo and cut out some few things that I don't need. The first thing is I don't need system UI because I'm not doing that. Now next is I don't need any of these, but I need sans serif. And with that, I think I should be good. Next is the background. So here I'm going to use the linear gradient here, and that will be 135 degrees, and also have a color of, I'm going to give a hex color that is 667 NEA. There we go. That will be 0%. And next color is another hex color that is 764 and BA2. These are the colors that I'll be using. And that will be 100%, just like that. Now, next thing that I need is I'm probably gonna put a little bit there so you guys can actually see. Next is min height, that will be 100 BH. As always, I don't think it makes difference, but it's really sometimes is necessary to actually mention. Now, next is padding, I'll give it 20 pixels, and also color. What I'm going to do here is put out a gray, so that will be, you know, hashtag or hash 333. There we go. I think we should be done. Now let's start to style our container, which will our, you know, main div. I'm gonna give it a max width of around 600 pixels. Also give a margin of 0 and auto to put everything in center, just like that. And also give a padding top of 60 pixels because I don't want to see that. There we go. And next is the header. Now here, what I'm going to do here is style this header tag, right? And also give text align center with also giving margin bottom kind of 40 pixels. There we go. Also give a color of white. There we go. And next is I'm going to do is give header and style the h1 just like that. I'm going to give the font size. I'm going to give font size of around 2.5 rem, just like that, and also give a font weight of 700, and also give a margin bottom of 8 pixels, and also give text shadow of 0, 2 pixels, 10 pixel RGBA, and give, it's kind of a grayish color, so I'm just gonna give that. Not a grayish, but like a very low opacity, kind of barely visible, but it does give a really good effect for the h1 tag, so I'm just gonna use that. Next is the paragraph tag, which is this text right here. Basically have the same things, but a thing or two different though. So what I'm gonna do here is give the font size, obviously I'm gonna give it a little bigger but still less than the actual heading, and give a opacity of 0.9. I want it to be a kind of less kind of visible, so I'm gonna use the font weight to give it 300. There we go. So it's kind of neat now, just like that. Now next is the search container, right? So next I'm just gonna search container, I'm gonna make it super simple because this is not the actual input, this is just the container. What I'm gonna do is position it relative, just like that. And next thing I'm gonna do here is give a margin bottom of 30 pixels. There we go. And also have a search input. So what I'm gonna do is style the search input like that. What I'm going to do here is give it a width 100%. So this will be all the way up to there, and also give a padding of 18 pixels, width 24 pixels. I'm going to give font size of 1.1 rem. Also give border none because I don't want to see any border. Also give a border radius because it kind of looks ugly. I'm going to give a border radius of 16 pixels, just like that. Also give a background. I'm going to give a background of probably RGBA. What I'm going to do here is give 255, 255, 205. This is basically white, white color code for the RGBA, and also give a slightly less, probably that much, and give a backdrop filter. So I'm going to do backdrop filter and give blur 10 pixels. There we go. So make it kind of blur for the background. And also give a box shadow that is 0, 8 pixels, 32 pixels, and give RGBA. Instead of that, what I'm going to do here is give a really less, that is 0.1, and we should be good. Now next is transition. When clicking on the search input, I want it to be a kind of a good effect. I'm just going to use ease, also having outline none. There we go. And now when search input is focused, so search input, I'm just gonna put focus here using transform. So when you click the search input, I want it to translate like a little bit upward to give it like smooth clicking effect. So what I'm going to do is give transform translate y at -2 pixels. So if we do that, it will come a slightly upward, just like that. And also give a box shadow. Here, what I'm going to do is, since we have also translated, I'm also give a shadow effect to be 0.1. So I mean, if it's translate, it also has a effect of moving the shadow, you know, like the shadow becoming more thicker. A really subtle effect though. But it okay, there you go. There's a very subtle effect. That's fine. Now next, what I'm gonna oops, okay. Okay, we should be fine. Now next, what I'm going to do here is give a background of RGBA and just give a white, I guess. There we go, it's fine. Now next, what I'm going to do is give a search input. And I'm going to change the placeholder to color more darkish gray. That's right there. Yeah. There you go. Now next is loading. So what I'm going to do is, for the loading, I'm just going to first probably put display none. I should have put display none, but I'm just going to comment it for now. First, I'm going to style it as text align. We'll make it center. And give a color of white, and also give a margin of 20 pixels and 0. Just like that. Now for the spinner, what I'm going to do here is give a width of 40 pixels, height of 40 pixels, also give a border of 4 pixels, solid RGBA with the white. Where are the suggestions? Oh, there you go. So white, but it'll have a grayish color, and also give the border. What I'm gonna do here is give border top of 4 pixels, solid white, just like that, and give a radius. So this will basically be the thing. Don't worry, just like that. boom, and also give a animation of spin 1 second linear. I'll go to infinite, just like that. We also have to figure out keyframes after this, and give a margin of 0, auto, and 10 pixels. So this is these right and the middle, just like that. Now next is we have to make sure that it has the correct keyframes. So here what I'm going to do is put keyframes and select spin, because we are configuring the speed of the spin. Well, not speed, but the actual spinner. So for initially at 0%, this will basically be transformed at rotate, and it'll have a 0 degree. Now at 100%, what I'm going to do here is give the 360 degree, no spaces, guys, remember that. There we go. It will just look just like that. Pretty cool, right? Now next I'm going to do here, since we have already made the loading, I'm coming that, and that will disappear completely because that's done. Now next is the country card. What I'm going to do here is called country card, and make the background, what I'm going to do is make the background kind of white, but still have probably this. I'm going to do that and give the same thing, and give a backdrop filter of blur 20 pixels. I'm going to give a border radius, forgot semicolon there, and also give a border radius of around 20 pixels. There we go. Border radius is kind of not working, but how did this work? Okay, we have to figure out that. Let's keep moving, and if we find any errors, we'll probably fix it. Now next, padding. If this works, and if this does not work, I need to, okay, so it was pretty too close to the thing. I thought, like, why was the thing not working? The next is box shadow. For the box shadow, what I'm going to do is give 0, 20 pixels and 60 pixels. I'll also give an RGBA, and this will basically be this, but with 0.5. Very subtle background. We don't need extra too crazy. We don't have to go that much. Now for the transform, I'm going to give a translate at 20 pixels. Now next is opacity. Now here opacity will be 0. Initially opacity will be 0. But I'm then gonna comment this part out because we have to style this. Okay, we cannot style it like while having thing, not having thing. Next is transitions. What I'm gonna do is call it transitioning and give it 0.6 and add ease. And I also have to put display none. But I'm gonna comment this part out. Next thing I also need to do, I just realized, is also comment out the error. So I need to comment out error, but we still haven't styled error yet, so we should be fine. We're gonna do it though, don't worry. So next is country.show. So if the card is at show, which we will change using JS, what I'm gonna do is transform it, just translate at Y, and put it 0, and also give the opacity to 1, also give display to block. So this will basically be the opposite, and we should be fine. Next is the flag container. What I'm going to do here is just boldly put text line center and also give a margin bottom of 24 pixels. Oops. just like that. What I'm gonna do is do dot flag and do width 120 pixels, give a height of 80 pixels. I'm gonna give a object fit of cover and give border radius. I'm gonna give border radius at 12 pixels. Also give a box shadow. Oops. Box shadow of around 0, 8 pixels and 25 pixels. RGBA and give a gray but have 0.2. Oh, that should be fine. Now next is transitions. What I'm going to do is give transform 0.3 seconds at ease. There we go. That will be the actual flag. Right now we don't have any flags, so we should be fine. Now for the hover, right? Dot flag, dot hover. If we hover it, we'll just transform it with scale. We're just gonna scale it 1.05 times. Now if I click over it, you can see the flag little, scaling, getting a little bit bigger. Next is country name. So name is pretty simple. What I'm going to do here is give a font. When am I typing font? The font size of Turin. Actually, what I'm going to do is give a dummy name to style it. Where's the country card? So this is the country name. Let's say United States. Okay. Now for the thing, what I'm going to do here is give the capital, I think it's Washington DC, right? Hopefully, because I'm bad at geography, guys. Oh, I forgot to change the thing, so this is population. Let's say population is this much for now. This is just dummy data, guys, don't worry. We'll do an API call for this later in the JavaScript. And the last one is region. I'm just gonna do North America, I think. Or am I just dumb? Probably. I accidentally removed the port, and there we go. So these are the dummy data for now. Now let's style it. So the first one is font size. What I'm going to do is give a font weight of 700. Also give text line center. Also give probably a little bit margin. 24. Yeah, that should be fine. The next is color. What I'm going to do here is give a hash color of 2D3748. Kind of a grayish color. There we go. Now next is the info grid. Now here's the deal, guys. I told you that we'll be using grid, right? You see everything is just linear, just stacked. We'll be using grid to actually make it look cool. So what I'm gonna do here is call the info grid, which is the container. You do this a display grid, just like that, and give a gap of 16 pixels. Okay, so with that, what I'm gonna do now, since we did display grid, we'll be using display grid. We could use column and centers, but I just found a better idea. We can just use display flex, which is easier than grid. So what I'm going to do is do align items. So I'm going to make it center just like that. As you can see, everything is just come out, outside of the thing. And what I'm going to do is give a padding 16 pixels and also give a background of RGBA. So this will be 102, 126, 204, and opacity will be that much. There we go. Border radius will be 12 pixels. And transition, all 0.3, the same thing. There we go. Yeah, looks all right. Now next is the dot info item, but this time when it is hovered, I'm just gonna change the background to RGBA. Same settings, but I'm gonna increase the opacity to 0.2. Now next is transform. Now since we have used transition here, I'll just change the transform to translate at X. I'm just gonna set it to around just 4 pixels. Oops. And now if I do here, it'll just go 4 pixels on the right, on the X axis. Just like that. Now next is info icon. Since the icons are pretty goddamn big, we need to change it, right? Now for the first thing I need to do is change its width and height. What I'm gonna do is give 24 pixels. Also give a height of 24 pixels. It should shrink down quite a bit. Just like that. And also give a margin right of 16 pixels. Also give a opacity of 0.7. Just like that. Now for the info label. And give a font weight of 600. Also give a color of hash for A5568 probably. Also give a minimum height, not minimum weight, minimum width of 80 pixels. There we go. Now next is the info value. Info value, what I'm going to do is do font weight 500, also give a color of the same thing, and also give it flex of 1. There we go. So this is dummy data, and this is how it will look. Pretty cool, right? The thing did not work here. Why not? Probably trim, but yeah. Okay, just like that, it should be fine. Now we're almost done, but we still have to style our error. Now for the error, what I'm gonna do is, first I'm just gonna do is display none. Because we have to do it, and also comment the part out. And also give a background. First we'll give it a background of RGBA, which will have a white background. Just like that. And also give a blur. So I'm just going to do backdrop filter blur of 20 pixels. Also give a border radius of 16 pixels. Give a padding of 16 pixels. Probably a little bit more, 20 pixels. There we go. And also give a text line center. I think I need to give a little bit more. Okay, that line's. Now next is the color. What I'm going to do here is give a kind of red color. I'm going to give it a red, but have a little pinkish red. That's too, okay, I made it too too bright. Okay, there we go. That should be fine. Now next is the box shadow. What I'm gonna do here is give 0, 8 pixels, 32 pixels. Also give a RGBA of kind of this thing right there. It's just box shadow. And next, that should be done. Now I need to uncomment few parts after this. Now next is what I'm gonna do here is do that and do that. And also do that. There we go. For the errors, what I'm gonna do, I'm still not done with errors, so I'm just gonna uncomment that. Here, what I'm gonna do is when error is showed, right, I'm gonna put display block and also give a animation of fade in of 0.5 seconds at ease, just like that, and have a keyframe with the fade in. I'm gonna do from opacity 0 to transform. I'm gonna translate at y 10 pixels to, what I'm gonna do is change the opacity to 1 and transform to translate 0, which is the initial position. That is our fade in, and with that we should be done. Now we have to make few things for suggestions, and for these suggestions, this will basically be the suggestions of the countries. What I'm gonna do is give a padding of 12 pixels and 20 pixels. Also give a cursor of pointer. Also give a transition of background 0.2 seconds at ease. Also give a border bottom of 1 pixel solid. I need to think of a color here. I'm just gonna give it a black. Let's have this. That is our suggestion item. Now next is suggestion item dash hover. For hover, I'm just gonna change the background to around just this color right here. There we go. And with that said, we should be fine for the last child. Now, since we're making a border for every single suggestion item, for the last item to have a border will not make sense, right? So what I'm going to do is do last child, suggestion item last child. This will select the actual last child of that suggestion item. What I'm going to do here is just change the border bottom to none. And with that said, our CSS is completely done. Not completely done. I just we cannot forget media queries, guys. That was a trick question. So here what I'm going to do is just to, that and change few things. So for mobile, I'm not going to do a whole wide fancy stuff because we don't have anything to do any fancy stuff anyways, right? I'm going to change the font size to 2 rem. From I think it was 2.5 rem, which I put. The next is country card. I'm going to change that to padding. I'm just going to change this 24 pixels. Just like that. Wait, how much was it again? I forgot. Where is country cards? So it was 32, so we have to change it, and yeah, that should be fine. Next is info item. I'm gonna do flex direction. Since we have doing flex direction row, by default it will set to row, I'm gonna change it to column. There we go. Now I'm also gonna align items to flex start and also do text align to left. There we go. And at last is the info icon. I'm gonna do margin bottom. I'm gonna set that to 8 pixels and also do margin right to 0. So with that, our CSS is done. I'm just gonna quickly do format document. Just like that, and it should be done. Now let's move to our JavaScript. So let's go to script.javascript. We did put the thing right. Okay, there it is. I should be fine. Now first, I'm just gonna call all of my DOMs. Now first, I'm just gonna put country input. We document.get element by ID and put country input, which I'm pretty sure that was the thing that I put. And just like that. Since we're doing JavaScript, it's fine. As you can see, it's also responsive. And also do that, boom, and copy this couple different times. Probably need it 5 times. Now here, what I'm gonna do here is do loading. Oops. Loading. Next is the error, obviously, and next again is the country card, and the last one is suggestions. Okay, that's the thing that we need. Change that to loading, that to error, that to country card, and this to suggestions. Okay, that's all of our DOMs. Now, here what I'm going to do is do let search timeout. This is the search timeout. And do let all countries. Initially, all countries, the search will be 0, obviously. So I'm just going to put empty string. Not empty string, empty array. So we'll just be using array to, put all of things. We'll change it back after we are done. So what I'm going to do here is now we'll start our API thing. So what I'm going to do with a sync, I have an API which I can use. I'm going to do a sync function. I'm going to make a sync function that says fetch all countries, just like that, and put a try block. So try const response. So this will basically be our response from the API. So we have to await it because we are using a asynchronous function. Here, what I'm going to do is do fetch. As we know, fetch is a synchronous function that will return us a promise. So I'm just gonna put our API here. I have an API. This is my API, just like that. That is name. That's my API. By the way, semicolon does not affect anything in JavaScript. So yeah, boom. Now here, what I'm gonna do is check if the response is okay or not okay, right? If the response is not okay, I'm just gonna say throw new error. This will just throw an error saying HTTP error and just log the actual error saying status. This is for debugging if we need it. I'm just gonna do that and do response.data. There we go. Hopefully that works. I could have used backticked, but it should be fine. Unless I... yeah. The next is the all countries. So, for the all countries, what I'm going to do is mutate the value here. I've made a small mistake. That should be it. Cannot forget the camel casing. So what I'm going to do is do all countries, mutate the string to await, and do response.json. So the JSON file that is getting sent by the API, which is the response, We have checked if the response is okay or not. If it is okay, we're changing the response to a JavaScript object, right? Pretty simple. We're not doing any rocket science here, okay? And after that, that's our try block. I'm just gonna catch error. I'm just make our try like catch block. I'm just gonna do console.error and put error fetching countries list. Now here what I'm gonna do is just put a fallback countries list. Since the country list is not there because it's still an empty array, right? If there is not anything to give suggestions to the user, it will be a complete disaster, right? Because I mean, it will not be a complete disaster, but it will just be a slightly better user experience. So see, like, it is kind of working, but it is still not there, you know? So what I'm going to do is just make a dummy array, right? So here, what I'm going to do is put a bunch of objects, which again, that is the thing that the API returns. What I'm going to do is just do name and just probably do like common. This is the actual format that the API return us. I'm just going to do United States. That like just like that. And also give a common name, United Kingdom. I'll just basically make a list. So I'm just gonna copy the data just like that. This will basically be a bunch of countries. Now that I guess United Kingdom. That can be Canada. It can be Australia. Hopefully, I'm United Australia. Yep. Okay. I forgot that existed. Oops. Now next, I can probably put Germany. I can't. I'm actually trying to remember the name of countries as I'm trying to type it. So next is France. What are other countries? Japan, my favorite country. It's mainly because of anime, though. If you watch anime, hit that like button, guys. And also subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Yes, and next is India. And also Nepal. We cannot forget that, obviously. And just like Brazil. Just put a bunch of dummy data. To be fair, it will be better if you put it all the countries alphabetically because it can just show something, you know. And just do Mexico, Italy. What are other countries? Spain, there we go. And put one more. South Korea, that is a country. Put another, that is Netherlands. Yeah, that should be fine. So that is our dummy data. So that it should be fine. Yeah. There we go. That solves the error. Now, next function that we can make is that it. So here I made a few mistake. I forgot to put that. Don't forget to put this as a function, guys. Right? So what I'm gonna do is next, I'm just gonna make the show suggestion function. I'm gonna do function show suggestions. This will take a input, which will be our input, right, as a parameter, and this will be if input dot length is less than 2. What I'm going to do is suggestions dot style dot display. I want to put it to none. There we go. And just simply return. This will be our first condition, because if the input is less than 2, then it doesn't make any sense, right? So here what I'm going to do is do const filtered. So this will basically be the filtered. What I'm going to do is do const filtered all countries dot filter. We'll be using the filter, which is in higher order function. So I'm going to put the country, right, and do a few things here. The first one is do country dot name dot common to lowercase. I'm just changing it to lowercase, just like that, and also includes input dot to lowercase. I'm just checking if it includes that. I'm just filtering it, because that's very, the filter is, because of that, is useful, right? And here I'm gonna do is do that. I'm just gonna set the R operator and put the country, country dot name dot official and country dot name dot official to lowercase, and also that will includes input lowercase. So this is our filter. So what it's basically doing is checking the country name and the common name, and also if it includes the input, if this is included in the input that will be coming from the user. If this, so this is either that or the actual country name, the name or the official name and the country's official name to lowercase, right? Also includes that. So if that happens, then just put that. That is our filter. What I'm going to do is also do a dot slice from 0 to 5, just to make it more, just slice from 0 to 5 if the index of the string. Simple. So next is if filter dot length is equals to 0. So if there is not anything, right? I mean, it's a common mistake, but it doesn't really matter, but I still changed the actual spelling. Now I'm just gonna, if the country's length is 0, it doesn't make sense. I'm just gonna do a suggestion.style.display and just change display to none directly and just return from the function. There we go. Just like that, it should be fine. Now next is the putting everything in the, the filter, the suggestion div. So it is pretty simple. What I'm going to do is take the DOM element, just like that. And what I'm going to do here is just, use inner HTML to dump everything, dump all of the objects inside that. The filtered, which is our, array, I'm just going to do map. I'm going to map the country, just like that, and do that. Use a backtick because we have to make a HTML, element. No div class. I'm gonna do here is put that. I think we should be fine. Hopefully. What I'm gonna do here is do suggestion dot item, which is our class, and also give a data country and put this thing as our, so what I'm going to do here is do that just like that. Inside this I'm just going to do country dot name dot common. There we go, that is our thing. And here we also have to close the div, don't forget that. We also didn't put the thing here. I forgot to put that. Inside this I'm just gonna do country name dot common. Yeah, should be fine, I think. Give me a second, guys. I need to check anything. Okay, there we go. I was wondering why it was no mistake. I'm just gonna join this into a string. Pretty simple. And with that said, that should be done. Now next is to actually display the block. Currently it is not visible, obviously. Gonna set that to block. That will make it visible when it is mapped, right? Pretty good. Now next is the suggestions. So what I'm going to do here is do suggestions dot query selector all and do dot suggestion item dot, we're going to loop it using for each. I'm going to do item and do item dot add event listener. So we have, you know, made everything, you know, we have made, or we have filtered every country I cannot speak. Oh my god. Now we also have to put the event listener. So what it will do is basically put the search the actual event, search the actual country based on the suggestions from the click. Right. So for that, I need to do click, because user will click on the thing, start a function, just like that. Forgot comma. And do country input dot value. So this is the country input value, and that will come from item dot dataset dot country. Also give suggestions dot style, and do display to none, and also give a search country. So this is the function that we will be calling to, you know, put the thing, but we have not made the function, which we'll be making after this. So don't worry. So I'm just gonna do item.dataset dot country. There we go. And that is fine. Now after that, I'm just gonna put a small event listener for the document, and when it will hear a click, it will basically just put the, so this is for the thing. So if the, you know, the web page here like feels a click, or, you know, gets a click, what happens is if it checks if e dot target dot closest is the search. So if the search, so basically what I'm doing is, since the search is a container, right, after it hears or feels or whatever, it gets a click, it will basically, what it will do is just put the suggestions dot style dot display. It will basically put it to none because it doesn't have any purpose anyways, right? After it here's a click, am I right? Yes, sir. So that is our document, just like that. Now next, what I'm gonna do is make our search country feature, right? Pretty cool. So this again will be a asynchronous function. So I'm gonna make the async function search country, and this will have a parameter of country name, just like that. Now next, it will check if the country name is it actually returning something. So if it isn't, and not country card, country name dot trim. So if it is just a blank string or anything at all, if it isn't, I'm just gonna return. So I made a few mistakes. I was supposed to do that. Okay, there we go. We have to hide the previous results of the country if there are any. So I'm just gonna do country.card class list dot remove show. So if it was previously shown, it will have the dot show, right? So we have to remove that from the country card. Now next is error. So I'm just gonna do error.classlist. If there are any errors, I'm gonna remove that too. And also if there are any loading, I'm also gonna remove that. And there we go. Double checking if everything I've done is actually correct. Seems like it. If I get an error, good luck me. Okay, so the same thing. Now we have to search the actual country, right? Now here, it was just fetching all of the countries for the search. Now this is the actual thing, and we'll put the value on the thing. What I'm gonna do is do const response. I'm gonna call the API one more time. Just like that. What am I doing? Oops. Const response. I'm gonna do await. I'm gonna do fetch, and basically call this API. There we go. I have to complete few things here. So for that, what I'm going to do is put first this. The first thing is encode URI component to country name. So this will basically encode whatever that country name is returning into a URL, And also put this and just do full text equals false because we don't need that anyways. Okay, so next is now error handling. We'll check if response is okay. If it isn't, I'm just gonna do throw new error and just with HTTP. What I can do is just put the same error that we was getting. Pretty thing. So this is not response.data, it's actual response.status. I made a small mistake there. I can just copy that and paste it right over there. Now, just like that I think we should be fine. Okay, let me quickly drink water, guys. Give me a second. I'm actually really thirsty after speaking for so long. So when next I need to change that to JSON. So on the cost data wait response dot JSON. There we go. Do const country. When set the data, the initial data, which is the thing, to 0. There we go. What I'm also gonna do is console the log the data to just do quickly compare and just see if the data is actually there. Let me quickly do console.log the data and try if the data is there. API is not working, that's weird. We'll check that in a bit, but a second. Let's quickly check if the API is working. I just want to see if it's working. So instead of this, I need to type in a country. Let's just type Nepal. Oops. Okay. Copy that. There we go. So that was the thing that was giving error. Next thing I'm going to do is type Nepal. So this is actually giving the data. As you can see, the API is working perfectly. That's good. The reason why it's not showing or not working right now is I don't have a catch block to handle anything. If you do that and come here, then we should be done. So if we just console.log the data, then why is it? Okay, it should be fine. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is probably, okay, it should be fine. So once we call the function, it should work. Okay. So here what I'm gonna do is basically just call everything from the DOM. This document.getElement by ID. Now next I'm just gonna do flag image .src, which will be the thing that will changing. I'm just gonna do country. Okay, so I'll do country dot flags dot svg, and either it's that or I'm going to do country dot flags dot png, kind of returns sometimes too, or it's just empty string for error handling if the thing does not return anything, so we have to put that too. Now next is, I'm just gonna paste that. I'm gonna change the flag image, but this time I'm gonna change the alt. So for that I'm just gonna put a empty string saying flag off. I'm just gonna put it the common name, saying country dot name dot common. There we go. I'm going to do Control V, and next is the country name. So I'm just going to do country name. I'm going to change the text content, and this time I'm just gonna put the country name common as a thing, and we should be fine. There we go. I also don't need any of that, obviously, and there we go. So next is the capital, right? I'm gonna change the text content to country capital. I'm just gonna do country dot capital. It should be easy, just like that. Either it's country dot capital or it's country dot capital dash 0, or it's not available, or just error handling not available. What's the spelling of that, by the way? Available. You can't be serious. I forgot the. I think that's it. Okay. So next is that. I'm gonna copy pasting that. I'm gonna change the population to that. I'm gonna change the population. It is text content. Now that is either country.population or country.population true local string. Local string, just like that, or is not available, just like that. I'm just gonna. The next and the last is the region. Hopefully I put the region right. I don't think I changed those things, if I remember correctly. Yep, I definitely did not. Okay, let's quickly do it. So what I'm gonna do here is this right here, which will be the info value. I'm gonna put that this ID, so this will be the country name. It's not country name, it's gonna be the capital, like that, and this will have ID of population. Okay, and next we're gonna do North America. That is region, so I'm just gonna do region. There we go. I'm gonna catch that, so we're gonna do region. So for the region, I'm just gonna change the text content to country.region. And since it doesn't have anything, the API doesn't have anything, I'm directly just gonna do either that or not available. Just like that. And we should be good with the DOM manipulation setting. I'm gonna do loading.style. Do loading.style.display. I'm just gonna change that to block. Oh, not block, actually none, because you know the data is almost finished on the thing. I'm gonna do set timeout to that, and gonna do a set timeout of country.card.classList and add the show. So that will basically show all the country cards, and that will be a delay of 100. There we go. 100 milliseconds. With that said, our try block is done. That will be all of the things that we'll be doing on try block. Now for the error handling, I'm not gonna do too crazy, but I will do few things. That is search error. So we also have a dedicated panel for the search. I'm just gonna do search error, and for the console side, I'm just gonna do that. Right? Okay, hiccups are kind of annoying me right now. I'm gonna do loading.style.display. I'm gonna set that to none, since after that we don't need that, right? I'm just gonna set that to none. And now for the loading of the error, I'm gonna get the actual thing first. So I'm gonna get the error element. I'm gonna get the error element, which is our error, right? I'm gonna do that and give document dot get element by ID and get the error div. That's it. Why did I get the error div? To mutate it, obviously. So what I'm gonna do is if error, this error right here, if this error includes a message, the error message includes failed to fetch, if error message includes that, then I'm just gonna do error element dot inner HTML, and this I'm gonna make that. I'm gonna do h3 connection error. There you go. Close the h3 just like that. Start a paragraph tag and type unable to connect to the country database. Please check your internet connection and please try again. Just like that, and simply close the paragraph tag. There we go. Now I have to do it one more time, so I'm just gonna copy this and do else because it's a if else statement. I'm gonna copy that and just say country not found. So if that one gets a failed to fetch, that just means it failed to fetch the data from the API. Most likely that is just the internet connection issue. So we just did that. Now sometimes you would also enters the the spelling mistakes or enters the country that does not exist entirely. I'm gonna say please check the spelling and please try again. Not too simple, just that much. Okay, so with that said, that should be all for our error. And at last, what I'm gonna do is also we have to show the error, right? Like we have made the error div, we also have to show. What I'm gonna do is do error.class_list.show. that will basically show the error. So after that, we should be done here. Now the only thing I have to do is put the event listeners for the country input, and just put two things, that is country input. When you hit enter, it'll basically just update it. So what I'm gonna do is country input dot add event listener. So while the user inputs the inputting and country, every time it will just update the thing. I will set a timeout, right, and just update the value in a given second. I'm going to do const value e.target.value. So this will basically get the value, and do clear timeout, and do search timeout, and do show suggestions, and put the value. So every time we'll just call that, and I'm gonna do search timeout equals to set timeout, call a function, and do if value.trim is search country value, then it will just call the value. And here what I'm going to do is give a delay of 500 milliseconds, just like that. And the last thing I need to do is to do all of this, not all of this, but do this when you hit enter. So what I'm going to do is just copy this, but instead of all of that, I'm just going to cut this and do key.key. If it's the event, I'm going to do key dot if it is enter not equals to, you're checking, guys. And next, what I'm going to do is do clear timeout. I'm going to do timeout and suggestions.style.display is set to none. And by the way, it's not input, this is a key press. Understand that, because we're checking the keyboard input. And next is the country. I'm just gonna do a country dot, not card, country dot input dot value. So with that said, we are done. The last thing that we need to do is just call our goddamn function, and we should be good. Okay, let's test it. Hopefully it works. Hopefully it works. Let's search Nepal. There we go. It kind of doesn't work. Great. Obviously it does not work every time, right? So it does give the array to Nepal though. So that's great. The thing is not working here, so I'm going to do type text content, right? So it is returning null, so that means the thing that does not exist. So here for 101, what I'm gonna do is do document dot. So it's saying this does not exist. Let's triple check. Oh, okay, that's why it does not exist. There we go. It works. Okay, so that is our thing. That works perfectly. Maybe not too perfect. Why is it so black though? But yeah, you can fix that in CSS. And with that said, it should work. So let's try to search a few more countries. Let's say India. What? Okay, why is it British India Ocean Territory? What? Okay, the API is kind of not working. That's weird. Let's search other, say, United States. There you go, United States, Washington, D.C., region Americas. Okay, with that said, we should be fine. Hope you enjoyed this the small project of countries info finder. And if you just liked me coding, or just watching me code, or you're just eating dinner while just me coding, then please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And with that said, I'll see you guys in another stream or in another video. Bye bye.